Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at a new game from Rebellion Studios of Sniper Elite and Zombie Army fame. This is a post-apocalyptic action shooter with some light RPG elements. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Atomfall. Atomfall is an action-adventure open-world game set in 1962 northern England, 5 years after a so-called nuclear disaster at the Windscale power plant in 1957. This, of course, is a reference to the real-life disaster of the same name in the same year. Made by Rebellion, this is their second game this year that has been taking up a lot of my playtime. Sniper Elite Resistance dropped on January, and follow up such a great game with another great game is really awesome to see in today's industry. As of April 2nd, over 1.5 million players have jumped into the zone, with fans and critics alike praising the game. You start off being dropped off in the middle of a bunker, only seeing a bloodied scientist, having no idea who you are, where you are, or even how you got there in the first place. This game in its essence is a mystery game, and your only real objective is to find your way past the walls and get out of the zone. Along the way, you'll have to fight different human enemies such as outlaws, religious zealots known as druids, and even the British Army, who in their 5-year quarantine have begun to call themselves Protocol. With the game being so new and with so many people yet to have tried it, I'm not going to touch on the story at all in this video. All I'm going to be telling you about is kind of my opinions on the game, a lot of the comparisons that I've been seeing get drawn to other games in the post-apocalyptic genre, such as Fallout or Stalker or Metro, and really kind of highlighting some of the things that they did right with this game.
Windscale, the pride of Britain. Nestled in the picturesque Lake District, the state-of-the-art atom plant has transformed this rugged landscape into the envy of its northern neighbors. Scientific progress waits for no one, and
the public has nothing to fear.
The area will be reopened by Christmas at the latest.
The situation is more complex than was at first understood.
No military expeditions into the area have been lost. Where did you get such an idea?
Perhaps by next Christmas. Oh, no more reconnaissance flights. The interference field is bringing down aircraft like clay pigeons.
Let me be clear. Our experts are monitoring the situation, and I would urge everyone to remain calm. The situation in Cumberland is well in hand.
While I won't be mentioning the story in great detail, let me give you a brief rundown of your first 15 minutes when you're in the game. After meeting our wounded scientist friend, he tells us of a secret government lab known as the Exchange, saying it holds the answers to the zone and is our only way to access the Windscale power plant itself. The veterans amongst you will probably find that phrase a little familiar, as it sounds very similar to Stalker 1's storyline, where you have to find the answers to the zone in the heart of Chernobyl by finding the monolith. Following this brief exchange with the scientist leads you to picking the entire place clean of every lootable item in the entire joint. This is natural. Pick up everything. There are actually not a whole lot of items to pick up, so everything counts. After stripping the joint clean, we make our friend a little bandage, and we go ahead and we're going to help him out. Or am I? In fact, folks, this is one of the few games where you can legitimately kill every NPC you come across. You can go on a genocidal campaign across this entire little wasteland in Cumberland, UK, and you can still complete the game. In fact, the developers are bragged about it, saying that if you are to kill every single person, you can still somehow find a way to get through and out of the zone. After finding your way through the bunker, you are released into the world, and more specifically, into a little town known as Slattendale. Now, Slattendale is your starting area, so here you're going to find a lot of your outlaws, you're going to find some low-level weapons, and you're going to find some fantastic views. I mean, just look at that, guys. This is on the Fallout level of a world reveal. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the telephone rings. And that's all I'm going to give you for the story. The combat in Atomfall, in my opinion, is some of the best I've seen in any open-world RPG. Some may find it clunky, coming from more fast-paced games, but I believe this is for good reason. You will often find yourself outmanned, outgunned, and out of heals and ammo, especially on some of those more intense difficulties. This will lead you to take your time when confronting enemies and consider infill and exfil points, rationing your supplies, and utilizing your crafting. Once you have engaged the enemy, however, you will be rewarded with your treat, the gunplay. Let me be clear here. These guns fuck.
Nice.
I don't know who the special effects specialist for Rebellion is, but they deserve a raise. Paired with the punch the firearms pack in this game and how far your engagement range stretches out to, it provides a fun but challenging combat system. Of course, you also have melee and grenades as an option, with Molotovs, homemade grenades, and poison bombs all at your disposal, along with many more. I haven't sat and counted them all out yet, but there's at least 25 to 30 weapons for you to play around with inside of the sandbox. Melee is your go-to most of the time due to the short supply of guns and bullets in Cumberland, while explosives prove very important when dealing with large groups of enemies or the barred robots. But that's enough about combat. Let's now look at this amazing world space and how the devs have created an explorer's paradise. The world space of Atomfall is divided into 6 main areas: Slattendale, Skethermore, Wyndham Village, the Casterfell Wood, the Interchange, and Windscale itself. All of these areas have their own unique vibes to them, with Slattendale giving us what has become of the zone, Wyndham being what it was before, but steadily declining from the army occupation. Skethermore shows us the brutality of that occupation, and the Casterfell Woods has a occult and medieval motif to it. The Interchange holds many of the important lore for the catastrophe, as well as showing us what Bard was up to. And as for Windscale, well, you'll just have to see that for yourself. Along the way, you're going to find different allies and traders to find that will make your journey easier. Now, trading is a bit different in this game as there is no physical currency, but instead you use different things that you have in your inventory to trade against the trader for the best deal possible. Alright guys, now we're going to get off script. That's pretty much all I have to say about the game itself. I think it's a great way to spend about 12 hours of your time. You could definitely beat the game in less, but I think that 12 hours gives you enough touching around with all the different quest lines and, finding stuff out about the world that it will really be a worthwhile experience. And especially since it's free on the Game Pass, there's really no point in not giving it a shot. Now, as for a lot of the different comparisons I've been seeing, a lot of people are relating the game to Fallout. People are relating the game to Stalker and to the Metro series. And while you can definitely see a bit of this in every single facet of the game, for instance, I think the combat is very Metro-like. The guns are punchy. They mean something when they hit. The world space itself is very Fallout-y. There are some funny things that happen. And even the end of the game is presented in slideshows like the old Fallout game. So it really kind of does scratch that itch. And the world exploration, you'll see that more Stalker-related kind of system. You have a metal detector that you can use to find caches and a wireless electrical device, I guess you would say, that can change where electricity is going, whether it be to turrets or doors. And you also have your good old trusty flashlight. But you're not seeing the depth that you saw for the exploration and the collecting as you did in Stalker. For Fallout, you're definitely not seeing as much of that world space storytelling. It's definitely there, and what is there is really good. The world space does tell you a very good amount about what happened during the catastrophe and in the years following with the quarantine. But it's not as in-depth as Fallout would be, and it doesn't really need to be. As for, the more Metro-esque things, it kind of stops there with just the gunplay. It's not as grim and grimy as something like Metro is. And all these games, are fantastic in their own rights, and I can't wait to talk about them here on the channel. but this game definitely has its own unique flavor to it. I really hope we see some DLC. The end of the game can be very cliffhanger-esque depending on how you finish it. There's 6 different endings. I've only gotten one of them so far, so I can't wait to jump back into it and to go ahead and try and find the rest of these endings. And with that, guys, I think I've said all I need to say. I think that we're going to wrap it up right here. Go try out Atomfall, another absolute banger from Rebellion. Of course, it's not their best game. Their best game is Rogue Trooper. If you know about that game, then you are a old school gamer, man, and I can't wait to be talking about that here as well. I really appreciate you sticking around until the end of the video here. We've been having to make this work with my phone and my original day one Xbox One, not even the 1S series or whatever the new one's called. So this has been a lot of really difficult, grindy work to collect this gameplay and to sit here and write these scripts and do all of that. So if you like stuff like this, if you like these gaming videos, you know, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll be looking forward to talking about some of my favorite games such as Stalker, Metro, Fallout, and a litany of other games. I've been playing video games for about 20 years now. I have a pretty great game library, and I'm really excited to start talking about that with y'all here on the channel. With that being said, guys, my name is Will, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.